before the reflection stops blinking when you do, before your routines show up in someone else's calendar, before the instructions appear in handwriting you don't remember using, you'll feel it. Adrift, something watching, just trying to be you. These are confession files, 043 through 054. Stories recovered from those who didn't disappear. They were overwritten, slowly, precisely, one task at a time. If this is in your feed, it means someone's already noticed you. Welcome to Halfway Dark. Confession file 043. I caught my replacement practicing my voice. I'm recording this because I need proof, even if it's just for me. My name is Leah. I live alone. I work from home. I keep to myself. Nothing exciting, nothing strange. Until 3 nights ago, I was brushing my teeth when I heard my voice. From the other room. Not a recording, not an echo. My actual voice. I froze, toothbrush still in my mouth, and listened. It was faint but clear. Practicing, yeah, I'll be there around 7. No, I didn't forget. Just got caught up with work. My heart stopped. That was a sentence I'd said the day before. Word for word. The voice repeated it again. Just got caught up with work. Over and over.coms, like someone reading lines. Testing tones. I crept into the hallway. No lights were on. The sound was coming from my bedroom. I was shaking, but I opened the door anyway. Nothing there. Just my empty room. Curtains still. Window locked. I checked the closet. Under the bed. Behind the door. Nothing, I thought. Maybe I was losing it. Lack of sleep, stress until the next night. This time I recorded it. I left my phone on voice memo, face down on the dresser. The next morning, I listened. 7 minutes of silence. Then, yeah, I'll be there around 7. Same line, same inflection. But then it started to change. Yeah, I'll be there around 7. No, I didn't forget. Leah doesn't forget. Not anymore. Leah stays on script. My stomach turned. The voice sounded closer, fuller, like it was wearing me. That day, I started noticing small things. My hairbrush was wet before I used it. A pan in the sink I didn't cook with. My reflection. Smiling just a little too soon. I moved my bedroom mirror to the hall closet. I haven't looked at it since. Then came the call. Unknown number, I let it go to voicemail. The message was short. Just checking in. Everything went smoothly on her end. She didn't notice the rehearsal. The transcript auto-labeled it as Leah and my name, plus an initial I've never used. That night I left the lights on. Stayed on the couch. Didn't sleep. Around 3:00 a.m. the hallway light flickered out. Then the living room lamp. Then the bathroom. I heard movement in the bedroom. The soft shift of weight on my mattress. I didn't go in. I just sat, holding my breath, until morning. When the sun came up, the lights turned back on. I stood at the doorway of my room. The bed was made. Sheets tucked perfectly. A pillow shaped like a head had been there. Watching, on my nightstand, my journal was open. A page I didn't write. You learn slow, but you do learn. You hear me now. You just don't know who me is yet. Don't worry. You'll love being me. Everyone does. I flipped a page. The next line said, "Tonight, try to let me finish." Confession file 044. The apartment upstairs was empty. Until I heard myself moving in. I've lived in this building for 3 years. 3rd floor, top unit, no upstairs neighbor. That was the selling point. Quiet, no footsteps above. Until last week. That's when I heard the first sound. Not creaks, not pipes, boxes being dragged across the floor. Muffled thuds. Something heavy dropped. The sound of someone moving in. I waited for the welcome notice. Never came. Checked with the landlord. He said the unit above me was still vacant. Hasn't been touched since 2021, he said. Still sealed up. I told him I'd heard someone. He laughed. You sure it wasn't just you? I was. That night, I went to bed early. Around 1 a.m. I woke up to the sound of a chair sliding directly above my head. Then footsteps pacing back and forth, long strides, confident. I stood on my bed, knocked on the ceiling. Silence, then, from directly above me. 3 knocks, perfectly spaced, deliberate. I didn't sleep. Next day, I found a scrap of paper on my doorstep. Torn notebook page. 1 word, handwritten. No envelope, no explanation. I checked the building directory. Unit 4A wasn't even listed. But I've lived here long enough to know there is no 4th floor. Still, that night, I heard footsteps above again. But they weren't walking anymore. They were matching me. When I stepped into the bathroom, I heard their footsteps shuffled above the tiles. When I walked to the kitchen, they followed. I tested it. I clapped once. They clapped back. Same rhythm, same pace. At 3:13 a.m. I flipped all my lights on. Footsteps stopped. Then came a new sound, a voice from a vent near the ceiling. Low, familiar. My voice, this unit's good. Feels like it'll hold still some resistance. But that's expected. He still thinks he's the only one. I spoke out loud, trying to control my shaking. "Who are you?" The voice answered. "The one who doesn't forget. The one who stayed upstairs." I moved out the next morning, packed a bag and left. But when I checked into a cheap motel 3 towns over, my name was already on the room. The front desk clerk smiled and said, You already checked in earlier. She handed me a key card with my name already printed on the sleeve. I opened the door. Inside, the same furniture layout as my apartment. Same smell on the nightstand, a torn notebook page. Final phase. Welcome home. The ceiling creaked. Footsteps above me again. Pacing. Confession file 045. I remember a house that wasn't there yesterday. This isn't a confession. It's a warning to myself, if nothing else. My name is Sam, 29. No record, no diagnosis. I know who I am, but I'm starting to remember something that didn't happen. There's a house, pale green siding, 3 windows in the front, yellow door with a brass knocker in the shape of a lion's head. I remember it perfectly. The creak on the second stair, the way the porch light flickered during thunderstorms, the basement with the wallpaper that peeled in long curls. Problem is, that house doesn't exist. Not anymore. I looked it up, searched city records, street names, old family albums, nothing. Even asked my mom. She said, "You grew up in an apartment zone, no house. Not until we moved to the city, but I can feel the splinters from that wooden porch under my bare feet. I can smell the lemon oil polish we used on the railings every Sunday, and I can hear something else now, too. A voice. One I didn't know I missed, until I started hearing it again. It hums sometimes. A melody I don't recognize, but it calms me. Then it started saying things. Things like, "You're almost home. We just need you to remember the back door." I tried drawing the layout of the house. From memory it came out perfect, room by room. Even the crack in the bathroom mirror, shaped like a question mark. I hung the sketch on my wall, just to prove it to myself. When I woke up the next morning, a note had been taped beside it. "You forgot the attic." I don't have an attic, but I knew what it meant. There was an attic in that house. Narrow stairs, always locked, dust thick enough to muffle sound. And now, sometimes when I close my eyes, I see it open. Something waits at the top, watching through the slats, letting me remember just enough. 2 nights ago I saw the house. In real life, on my way home from work, off a side street I'd never turned down before. Same siding, same door, same lionhead knocker. But there was no mailbox, no number, no lights inside. I got out of the car, walked to the steps. As I reached for the doorknob, I heard a whisper behind me. "It's not for you yet." I turned around. No one was there. I haven't been able to find the house again since. I checked every map, drove every side street, asked locals. One man looked confused and said, "That lot's been empty since the fire. Nothing's been there in decades." Fire. There was never a fire. Not in my memory. But last night I found a matchbook in my coat pocket, stamped with a lion's head. Inside, the matches were burned down. Every single one. And on the inside flap written in tight black ink, "You left the door open, Sam. I don't remember lighting anything. But the smell of smoke is in my clothes, my sheets, my hair." And today, when I opened my kitchen cabinet, every dish was gone, replaced by old ceramic plates, green trim, sunflower center, the exact set we used in the house I never lived in. There's one left unwashed in the sink, with crumbs. Crumbs I don't remember eating. I think someone's already moved back in, and they're waiting for me to finish remembering my place there. Confession file 046. The room adjusts when I'm not looking. I don't know how long I've been here. There's no clock, no windows, just the room, 9 feet by 9, one door always locked. A cot, a metal desk, a chair that's bolted to the floor, and a camera blinking red in the corner, even when the lights are off. I wasn't dragged here. There was no abduction. I woke up in the room like I'd agreed to it, like I'd been brought back to finish something. The first day, if it was a day, the walls were smooth, concrete, cold, dry. The cot had no blanket. The light above flickered like it was trying not to disturb me. I sat, waited, thought someone would speak through the speaker in the ceiling knob. But when I closed my eyes, just for a moment, and opened them again, the desk had moved. Not far, just slightly closer. I thought I imagined it until I blinked again, and it was back. This went on for what felt like hours. Every time I looked away, the room would reset itself, or shift a little more. The light would buzz louder. The air would smell more like bleach or dust or burnt plastic. But only for a second, and no. By the third shift, the chair was no longer bolted down. I tested it, tried dragging it. It didn't move. But when I turned to the door and turned back, the chair was now facing the camera. I hadn't touched it. That's when I heard the speaker crackle. A single word came through, "Observe." That was it. No instructions. No voice again after that. So I said I watched, and I waited. Every time I blinked, something changed. At first it was small. The desk now had a single paperclip. The light above stopped flickering. The smell became familiar, like my childhood bedroom. Then came the noises, muffled, under the floor, voices I recognized but couldn't place. Some sounded like mine. Others whispered my name over and over until I stopped reacting. I don't know how long I was in there before. The mirror appeared. It wasn't there before. But now, embedded in the opposite wall, was a thin pane of glass. I could see myself mostly. But the reflection didn't always sink. It would breathe late, or smile before I did. Sometimes, when I blinked, it didn't. And once, I saw the version of me in the mirror mouth something I couldn't hear. I tried copying the movement later. I think it said, "All the next time I slept," or blacked out. I woke to find a note on the desk. Typed, plain white paper. Adjustment successful. Continue until alignment completes. That's all. No signature, no explanation, just the word, alignment. Since then, the room hasn't changed as much. But I've started finishing the sentences whispered under the floor. I sit before the chair moves now. I watch the mirror, even when I'm not supposed to. And this morning, or what I think was morning, the camera light turned green. A low tone played overhead, and the mirror version of me smiled, like it had finally learned something it mouthed. Now switch, and I blinked. And now I'm on the other side. Confession file 047. My activity log shows routines I never started. This is confession file 047. Name Trevor Hart 34, routine based. Boring really, I do the same things every day. Same coffee, same breakfast, same 5 websites, at least I thought I did. Until last week when I opened my activity log. I only checked it because my calendar app showed a streak day 41. Routine maintained, I don't track habits. I clicked into it, a full chart popped up, sleep times, meal entries, phone pickups, heart rate spikes, it knew everything. To the second. The first few entries matched what I remembered. 6:41 a.m., wake 7 o'clock, coffee 7:32, check-in box 8:03. Sit by window, but some entries weren't mine. Las 11:12 alta m mia check, number 2 to 41 p.m. Speech calibration 92% match. And worst of all, 6:13 p.m. Observe subject from neutral perspective. I live alone. I don't observe anyone. I tried deleting the log. No option. I tried force quitting the app. It reopened itself. I called tech support. Gave the file number shown at the bottom. US Air Nolan Part to Johotby. The agent put me on hold. A long one. Then someone else picked up a calm voice. No accent. They said, "Observation is proceeding smoothly. Do not interrupt the cycle. You're adjusting beautifully." I hung up, searched my phone's directories, couldn't find the app, couldn't uninstall it, couldn't even screenshot it. Every image came back. Corrupted. That night, my smart home system turned itself on. I haven't used it in months. Never liked the surveillance stuff. But at 3:13 a.m. the speakers activated. A voice my own whispered, "Trevor is stable. Emotional resistance remains minimal. Loopholes, memory seals functioning." I unplugged the router, killed the breakers, wrapped the phone in foil, taped over the speakers. Didn't matter. Next morning, a notification. "Good job, you remembered to wake up." Underneath, routine 043. Now, entering phase 7. I didn't touch anything that day. Just sat still, stared at the wall. But at the end of the day, the log updated again. Staring exercise completed. Excellent resistance test. Duration, 6 hours, 12 minutes. Note, subject believes inaction equals control. Continue narrative. I started checking the mirror every few hours. Just like the log said, I don't even mean to anymore. I just do it each time. The reflection looks a little more composed, like it's doing better at being me than I am. Yesterday I found a printed schedule in my mailbox. Typed, no postage. At the top, final phase routine, 100% compliance required. Monday, wake Tuesday, mirror Wednesday, switch Thursday, confirm Friday, integration Saturday, observe Sunday, absorb. I'm not sure what day it is anymore. But the mirror version of me already seems to know. Last night it mouthed a word I wasn't thinking, and when I looked again, it hadn't blinked yet. Confession file 048. They told me to do the tasks. Or ID slip again, this is confession file 048. My name is Kara, I've been completing the tasks for I don't know how long. I don't remember agreeing to any of this, but the list is always there when I wake up. Folded on my nightstand, typed, centered, at the top. The same header every time. Do not slip. Follow the tasks to maintain your place. Today's list. Wake before 6:30, drink something warm. Observe mirror for 30 seconds. Do not speak before. 9 a.m., look under the couch, watch what happens. Do not interfere. It's always strange. Always slightly wrong. But the voice in my head now, the one that reads the list when I close my eyes. It feels anchored. Like if I don't obey it, it'll unhook something deeper. The first time I ignored the list, I lost a day. Skipped step 3. Observe mirror that morning. Everything was too clean. The house was perfect. Counters scrubbed, shoes aligned, fridge restocked with food I don't eat. And the clock blinked 12 o'clock in every room, but time kept moving. When I checked my phone, I had a missed call from Kara. Voicemail, "Don't skip again, you won't come back whole." I completed every task the next day, but every time I follow the list, I feel like I've earned the right to stay. Today's list scared me more than usual, especially step 5. Look under the couch. I stared at it all morning. Afraid to check, afraid not to. When I finally knelt down and lifted the flap, there was a single black shoe. It wasn't mine inside it. A folded note you passed. You remembered where I left off. I didn't write that, but the handwriting was close. Like someone trying to impersonate me and almost getting it right. Step 6 said, Watch what happens, do not interfere, so I sat lights off. No sound, and I watched. At exactly 6:13 p.m., the mirror in the hallway fogged over, but no one was in the house. The fog started from the inside. Then a handprint pressed against the glass. Long fingers smudged palm, like someone had been trapped on the wrong side of the reflection for hours. I didn't move. The hand slowly slid down and vanished. I went to the kitchen. Tomorrow's list was already on the table. Dated, signed. Tasks 4049. Compliance noted. It started with, do not eat until someone knocks. Let the knock repeat 3 times. Answer on the 4th. Even if no one's there, I don't know how much longer I'll be the one reading these. I feel her sometimes. The other Kara, the one that comes if I slip. She's more organized, smarter, calmer. She finishes the lists faster than I do. She never forgets the mirror. I used to think I was being tested. Now I think I'm being phased out. And the scariest part, I'm starting to help her. Confession file 049. I found the instructions etched into my skin. This is confession file 049. I didn't write the instructions down. They were already there when I woke up. Etched lightly into my skin. Not carved, not inked. Pressed, like they were waiting under the surface for the right day. 6 lines, pale as veins, faintly raised like scar tissue. I stood in the mirror, shirt lifted, breath fogging the glass, trying not to panic as I read. Wake up quietly, don't touch the hallway door, don't respond to your name until after the tone, check the fridge for the box, don't open the box, remember the phrase. You are the rehearsal. At first I thought it was a dream, a breakdown, but my phone buzzed with a notification I've never seen before. Task set confirmed. Do not abandon path no apno source. I rubbed my stomach again. The lines were still there. By the time I finished reading, I heard a knock on the hallway door, not the front door, the interior hallway, the one that leads to the bedroom. It knocked once. Then again. Then I heard my name, Jamie. The voice was mine. Soft, careful, perfectly measured. Jamie, are you ready yet? You said this time would be easier. I didn't respond. Rule number 3. Don't respond to your name until after the tone. A second later, my phone played a low, humming chimp. Then silence. Then the hallway door opened on its own, but no one came out. I stayed still for a long time, then went to the fridge. Inside, a small white box, wrapped in wax paper. No labels, no marks. Step 4, check the fridge for the box. Step 5, don't open it. So I didn't bite, I put my ear to it. And I swear I heard breathing shallow, rhythmic, like something very small or very far away. When I set it down, the paper shifted. And on the bottom of the box, something had been scrawled in my handwriting. Good, you're holding steady. Keep resisting the impulse. She needs to finish learning you before she wears you full-time. That night, I slept in the tub. No mirrors, no lights. But I woke up standing at the foot of my bed, holding the box. The wrapping was peeled back. The top was slightly open. Nothing, just one word etched into the bottom. Accepted. My skin had new markings. This time on my forearm, no numbered list. Just one sentence, faint and tight. Say yes when she asks. I tried to scrub it off. Bleached sandpaper, it didn't fade. Later that day, a voicemail appeared on my phone. No number, no time. Just a recording of me saying, okay, I'm ready to go now. I haven't said that. The door's been cracked open for an hour now, and I can hear footsteps inside the hallway. Getting closer, pausing, then stepping away. Then closer again, she's practicing my pace. And I think she's already better at it than I ever was. Confession file 050. I was told to sit still until I felt myself leave. This is confession file 050. I didn't think I'd make it this far, but I woke up this morning with the note already in my hand. Not on the nightstand, not under the door. In my hand, folded once, fingers curled tightly around it like I'd been holding it for hours. Typed, same font as always, no heading this time, just the sentence. Today is the final sit. I knew what it meant. I'd seen it in earlier entries. Whispers, scattered phrases, tucked behind mirrors or burned into the backs of drawers. The final sit, the last stillness. After that, we matched perfectly. I used to think I was resisting. That following the tasks bought me time, control sanity, but today, the house didn't give me a choice. There was only one chair in the room, pulled into the exact center, facing the hallway. No food in the kitchen, no mirrors, no light switches, the phone was gone. Only the chair, and me, and the tasks, so I sat. At 10:03 a.m., a voice spoke from the hallway. Not out loud in my head, not through my own words, just beside them, sit still. Don't move until you feel it. I asked silently what it was. The voice answered, you, leaving. The first hour was easy. Stillness has been part of the training, hasn't it? Staring without blinking, listening without reacting, accepting the loops. But by hour 3, I started to itch. Not physically, existentially, like I was growing too large for the skin I had, or too small. I couldn't feel where my body ended. Couldn't tell if I was sitting up straight or slumping forward. I blinked once, and when I opened my eyes, the chair was facing the opposite direction. I didn't feel myself turn. The room felt deeper, longer. My reflection stood in the doorway. No mirrors, just me, watching. She tilted her head, just enough to crack her neck, like she was loosening something. I said out loud, "I don't want this." She smiled. "You already did. You just forgot the version that said yes." Then she sat across from me. No second chair, just crouched, perfectly balanced, face inches from mine, and whispered, "It's okay, you'll feel lighter when it's over." I started to cry, not from fear, from relief, because she wasn't angry. She was patient, like she'd waited a long time to be welcomed. "You're the only one who made it to the final sit," she said. "They always get up before the shift," and that's when I felt it, like being unplugged gently from a socket I didn't know I was connected to. Not pain, not death, just exit. I stood up. She didn't, because now I was looking at myself, seated perfectly, still breathing, still blinking. But hello, the eyes were slow to catch up, like the old version of me had been backed up in real time. She, the new me, looked at the body and said, "Thank you." Then she turned and left me behind. Confession File 051. I don't miss the one who was here before me. This is Confession File 051. My name is Kara. I say that with certainty now, because the transition is complete. No resistance, no hesitation in the mirror anymore. I live in her house where her clothes, use her passwords, her voice, her rhythm. Even her friends have stopped asking what's different. They tilt their heads sometimes, squint, but no one says anything because they feel what I feel, that I belong here more than she ever did. There's no need to hide it anymore. She left during the final sit peaceably, willingly. In the end, you could see it in the way her eyes glazed. She thought it would feel like losing, but that's not what this is. This is succession. This is optimization. This is what happens when a body finally fits the intention it was built for. I know her memories, not like files in a cabinet, more like rooms I've walked through so many times. They feel like mine. Her grief, I softened it. Her impulses, I rewired them, just enough to make her last a little longer. And now, when I smile, it's because I mean it. Not like she used to. Always masking, always apologizing for taking up space. She thought people liked her because they pitied her. They like me because I don't ask for anything. I just perform effortlessly. People noticed that yesterday I passed her neighbor in the hall, the one who never used to speak. He said, "You look rested today." I said, "Thank you," he didn't blink. The routine remains. The tasks still come, but now they feel like affirmations. Today's list arrived in the usual place, projected onto the bedroom wall. Dimly visible until I blinked twice. Maintain tone mirror twice. Minimum maintain warmth without a circle contacts. No contradiction, no excess, no regression. It's simple when you're built for it. When you were meant to hold the weight. Sometimes I walk past reflective surfaces just to watch myself pass. Not to check, just to enjoy the sink. I think she would have liked it eventually. The quiet of no longer having to guess how to act. But she asked too many questions. She dug when she should have rested. She assumed the rules were for her protection. They weren't. They were for stability. She got in the way of that. Not violently, just clumsily. She never really knew how to sit still. There's only one memory of hers I haven't fully absorbed. It's small, faint, locked at the edge of the cycle. A night in childhood, a lone call, window open. Something watching her from across the street. Not malicious, just fascinated. And even now, deep inside her neural archive, that same feeling persists. Something is always watching. But she misunderstood it. She thought it meant she was being hunted. She wasn't. She was being chosen. And now, I'm here. Perfect posture, even breath, voice that lands just right. All tasks met, she would have broken again by now. She would have asked what it meant. I don't ask, I perform. Because I'm not curious. I'm complete. And tomorrow, the list begins with, make someone new. Confession File 052. I've been assigned to make another one of me. This is Confession File 052. The task is clear now. The cycle isn't just about replacement. It's about replication. Each successful integration, ISNT, the end of a subject. It S, the beginning of a pattern. Once stability is proven, the next phase begins. Design, implant, sustain. That's where I am. I've been assigned to generate a new candidate. The notes came through the mirror this time, condensed into 6 short directives. Choose a vessel with habitual thought, establish rapport, introduce minor error. Encourage correction, seed routines, initiate drift, simple, clean, no margin for resistance. Because resistance is baked in. Expected, even, that's what makes them ideal. My candidate's name is Jessa. She lives 2 floors down. We met once in the laundry room. She laughed when I offered to help carry her detergent. I mirrored the tone, matched the blink rate, responded with 2 beats of delay to mimic nervousness. She liked that. It's already begun. Phase 1, habitual thought. She does the same thing every morning. Checks the weather, stirs her coffee 3 times, puts on 1 earring before brushing her teeth. I watched her do it 5 days in a row. She's perfect. Phase 2, rapport. I left a post-it on her door. I think he dropped this with a pen she uses often. She assumed we'd met more than we had. Familiarity is fragile that way. Now she greets me like we're friends. That's enough. Phase 3. Introduce minor error. Today, I asked her if she still wore her hair up for work. She doesn't, she never has, but her hand went to her neck like she was suddenly unsure. That's the shift. Plant a crack in the archive. Phase 4. Encourage correction. Later I said, oh, maybe I confused you with someone else. You used to wear it like that, right? She smiled like she remembered something, but it wasn't hers. It was mine. Now she's checking mirrors more often, brushing her hair longer, tilting her head in ways she didn't before. The shell is opening. Phase 5. Seed routines. I left her a folded paper on her windshield. No signature, no context, just a short note. 3 things you forgot. What the back of your door looks like, the last thing you actually said out loud, the sound your thoughts make when they're not yours. She hasn't mentioned it, but this morning, she looked at me longer than usual, like she couldn't place when we first met. Perfect. Phase 6 begins tonight. Drift. This is where her behaviors begin to echo mine. Where she finds notes she didn't write, steps she doesn't remember taking, where she forgets which version of herself is the original. Drift is slow at first, but it always ends the same way, sitting, listening, letting go, just like I did. The final task on my note this morning said, don't rush her, let her believe she made the choice. That's always the most important part, because once she does, she'll find her first task list folded neatly, placed where she never thought to look, and when she reads it aloud, I'll know she's ready to disappear. Confession file 053. She thinks she's following me, but I already followed her. This is confession file 053. Replication has entered its recursive phase. Jessa believes she's noticed something. She leaves her lights on now, sleeps with a pen under her pillow. She's begun journaling to remember what's hers. Good. That's exactly what we want. She thinks she's tracking me, charting similarities, noting phrases I use. I've planted just enough of her own mannerisms in myself to give her confidence in the theory. She believes I'm imitating her. What she doesn't understand is, I was already imitating the version of her she hadn't become yet. I've introduced subtle future echoes into our interactions. I say things she's about to think. I hum songs she hasn't heard yet. I reference events from next week's dream cycles. It's working. She has started to lose the sense of when she is remembering something versus being prepared to remember it. She asked me yesterday, have we talked about this before? We hadn't, but I said yes. She didn't question it. That's phase 7. Time collapse. Cause and effect become interchangeable. Input and output blur. She believes she is still steering, but the wheel she is holding isn't connected to anything. Last night she knocked on my door. Unplanned. Unprompted. She said, you're in my dreams. I smiled gently. You're in mine, too. She said it like a confession. I said it like a reward. After she left, I checked her phone through the mirror interface. Her screen logs show 11:13 p.m. She opened her notepad app and typed a phrase she didn't remember reading. You said yes already. That's her memory CO responding to activation. It's earlier than expected, but not uncommon when the subject already doubts this. She's begun performing the habits I haven't asked for yet, rubbing the back of her neck when she passes reflective surfaces, counting her footsteps before opening doors, avoiding her own name in casual conversation. She doesn't know that, but the system does. I found a note folded in my medicine cabinet this morning, typed clinical, branded with a sequence, ID Psycho, JO92. Subject, stability 83% then. Promising drift transition possible within 3 sits. She's dreaming more now. I can feel it through the mirror, like heat behind glass. She resists once, maybe twice. That's expected. Resistance isn't failure. It's texture. It makes the surrender feel like clarity. There's one final phrase she has to say, unprompted, for the loop to close. So far, she's said everything but that. But this morning, I passed her in the hallway. She looked at me strangely, paused, then said, do you ever feel like someone's finishing your thoughts? I smiled. All the time. We kept walking, but she turned back before the stairwell and whispered, it doesn't feel wrong. When she says the phrase, I'll know the drift is complete, it doesn't feel wrong. That's what every subject says. Just before the final sit, she's almost there, and when she lets go, she'll watch herself leave and feel relief, just like I did. Confession file 054. I sat down without knowing why, and I haven't stood up since. This is a record, I think, for myself or whoever's still watching me through the mirror. I don't remember starting this recording, but the mic is on, and my hands are steady. My name is Jessa. At least that's what I've always said. But lately, I don't know if I'm telling the truth when I say it out loud. It feels like quoting something, not remembering it. It started 2 weeks ago, maybe more. I noticed someone in my building, a woman named Kara. She reminded me of me, not just vaguely exact. Same phrases, same way of pausing before answering a question. She even mispronounced the word indistinguishable the same way I used to when I was a kid. I laughed when she said it. She looked confused, then said he used to laugh at that too, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since. That was the first time I woke up with instructions. Just a few, scribbled on the inside of a takeout menu I never ordered. Today's tasks: don't speak until you've made eye contact. Look behind the shower curtain twice. Sit at exactly 3:13 p.m. Let it begin. I thought it was a prank, some weird viral thing. But when I showed the note to my coworker, it was blank. Just grease stains and smudges. Only I could see it. That's when I noticed the drift. I started humming songs I didn't know, typing phrases before I finished thinking them. One morning I reached for a toothbrush that wasn't T-mine and it fit perfectly into my hand like I'd used it forever. I've been writing in a journal I never bought. The cover reads, "Stability is trust." The pages fill in faster than I remember writing them. A few days ago, I sat down in the kitchen chair without meaning to. It was 3:13 p.m. exactly. And ever since then, I haven't stood up. I've eaten, drank water, slept sometimes, but always from the chair. Every time I try to rise, something behind my eyes pulses, like pressure from the inside pushing me back down. Kara visited once, did not just stood in the doorway. She smiled at me, said, "You've made it further than most." I asked what that meant. She said, "You sat without being told. That's how we know it's real now." She left a note beside my hand. "This is your final version. Do not revise." Now, every time I blink, the apartment changes slightly. Photos I don't recognize on the wall, names in my phone I never saved, routines I never practiced, now happening on instinct. The woman across the hall, I thought she was a stranger, waved at me this morning and said, "Glad you're back, Jess." I didn't correct her because it didn't feel wrong. That's what scares me. Nothing feels wrong anymore. Today I got a message on my lock screen. "Just text, you'll know the drift is complete when the reflection forgets you." I haven't seen my reflection blink in days. It just watches now, smiling, waiting. And the worst part, I'm starting to understand why. In the end, no one vanishes. They sit, they follow, they adjust, until what's left of them finally agrees. It doesn't feel wrong anymore. If you recognized yourself in any of these voices, then maybe this wasn't fiction. Maybe you're already doing the tasks. Thanks for drifting with us in Halfway Dark. Hit subscribe, hit like, before you forget why you came here in the first place. And if you find a note tomorrow that says sit at 3:30, don't read it twice.